Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of the Daily Diesel Show. If you're watching this, you might be asking, hey Dusty, you are inside a building. Why are you wearing a coat and have your hood on? And the answer is, it's because it's really cold in here. And it is, I don't know, if you're in Michigan or north of that, you probably know the feeling. It is... When it's springtime, when it finally breaks and there's birds outside and there's no more snow on the ground and it's starting to turn green, it's like a sigh of relief and it smells good. It's incredible. So I'm just simply embracing leaving my windows open. Well, not the window you can see there, but my other windows, and it's cold. So, but it's just. I have to enjoy the fact that I can leave my windows open without heat on and I'm not dying. So that's why I'm wearing a coat. It's kind of weird, but it's a, northern springtime thing. I've been thinking, and I'm actually curious what your thoughts are on this. If you want to, leave us a comment or shoot us an email. Maybe if we're going to do a daily show. So Megan, our editor, she posted a YouTube poll yesterday or a couple days ago asking, do you prefer the daily, short stuff or do you prefer the long stuff? And it was 93%. I'm pretty sure it was actually 93% of you said it was that you prefer the daily show. Now, I'll say it was worded a little weird. It was are you enjoying the show or do you wish it was longer? It's not really fair to say that the people that enjoyed the show also didn't wish that we just did longer episodes. But I'll take it as a lot of you prefer the daily show, and a lot of you would like us to do the longer stuff. So maybe what we'll do is split at some point, split the daily show into its own show, our own YouTube channel, our own, podcast and everything, and leave the Shop Talk, the 1023 Soul Shop Talk podcast to interviews and things like that. So, maybe once every couple weeks or monthly have our interviews. And we've got some cool ones. I'm super excited. Unlimited Diesel, so Nate and Alex, hopefully both of them, at least Nate at Unlimited Diesel, to talk about some manufacturing side, mainly 7.3 injectors is what I want to talk to them about. Issues with them and things like that. Charlie Fish at KC Turbos, BG products for lubricants and oils. Those are a couple of them. Jared Alderson of Kill Devil Diesel. I'm going to be recording with him sometime soon. I don't know when yet, but sometime soon. I'm pretty excited about that. There's a lot of cool stuff that can happen, and it's not for this show, the Daily Diesel Show. And so it sort of gets it's hard because really I'm just using the truth is I'm just using the 1023 Diesel YouTube channel and our name and recognition for our 1020 Diesel Shop Talk podcast to get the information out, because believe it or not, you can't just say and important things or what I think are important. And it just reaches a bunch of people. It doesn't work like that. You have to have some recognition. And despite the amount of ridiculous hours that go into creating, what we've built so far, it's not we don't have a big following. Maybe on the average is around 1,000 people, I think, listen to this show or watch it on YouTube, total downloads or watches or whatever. Aside from some, fringe shows like the how to choose injectors for 7.3 or how to plan your build or something like that. On YouTube they do pretty good, but 20,000 views or whatever. But it's really hard to get in front of people, and that's good. Honestly, I'm thankful that it's hard because it does teach you a process. It's kind of like starting a business. I put it this way: it's kind of like if you inherited money and you never knew how to manage money, you'd probably end up losing it all, just like all the people that win the lottery, that end up going broke, or almost every one of them. because like you never learned what it takes, like the work and the information you have to manage money. And so, managing a reputation, whether that be like the information you're sharing or the usefulness or the entertainment, whatever it is whatever you're geared towards, like it's not simple, and that's a good thing, because you have to learn the process. You have to learn like what is actually useful to people, and I appreciate it. I'm glad it's hard. If it was too easy, then it would probably be too easy for like a lot of really bad, like really useless information to get to people. I'd argue that people play the system a little bit, and some pretty bad, useless information gets to a lot of people. But some of it's entertainment. Like one example is Whistling Diesel. I don't personally find any sort of enjoyment from his videos, but that dude is like, his goal is entertainment, and he is getting attention, and I respect that 100%. So, anyway, all of that, sorry for the long intro, all of that is leading into, should we, I do want to know your thoughts, should we split the podcast? Maybe not now, because we sort of need the platform, because we're not really reaching that many people. And that's fine. If it's not good enough to reach more people, then that's what it is, and I'm fine with that. But if it does get to that, I would curious what you guys' thoughts are. Do you want them separated, like long form stuff, interviews on our 1023 channel or the 1023 Shop Talk podcast, and then have like the Daily Diesel show? And then leading into kind of what I want to talk about today is like the lack of a barrier to entry for performance parts. And this is a big topic. It's not, all of these things I'm saying, like they're not subjects that I can cover in just a couple of minutes. Like it's very large, complex things that no matter the thought I put into them, like there's more to it than what I can say here. But really, like if you want my hot take, it's going to be like, I really truly believe that the barrier to entry for purchasing aftermarket performance products for your diesel is way too low. I really think it's too low. And a lot of that comes from like some examples. We get calls from people all the time. Like I'll give you one exact example. I had a call from a guy today that he had purchased a PHP Hydra for his 7.3, and his concern was that the truck the display on the chip was turning off. And what happens with conversations like that is I dig into, all right, well, like, is the display, like, is the chip, he said the chip was turning off. I'm like, is the display turning off, or like, is it losing power? Like, why are you saying it's turning off? Like a PHP Hydra, it sits on the J3 port on the PCM. The only way it can turn off is if you like remove the chip, or you lose power to the chip, whether that's lose power to the PCM or the chip comes disconnected or whatever. And the conversation, we kind of go through some stuff, and then it ends up being, well, he asked, can I stack chips? Can I put a, H&S in my 7.3? Well, first of all, I don't think that like H&S Performance has anything for 7.3s. I don't think they ever did. And if they did, H&S Performance has been out of business since 2012. And I know that they're popular, like the devices or knockoffs of their devices have been popular because they're just a Bully Dog GT, like physical hardware. It's different firmware. They've been popular for ever since they went out of business, and people are using like unlock codes or whatever to delete their newer trucks, and that's what people are looking for. But yeah, it like it's so complicated. If that's your perspective, you shouldn't be able to just freely go buy a chip without having any clue what it is or what it does for your truck. And now I'm not saying like, oh, if I was a dictator, I would say nobody should be allowed to modify their truck without knowing what they're doing. Like I'm not saying that. Like, I'm fairly libertarian. I think there should be less regulation. But it's not helpful if you can just go buy the wrong things whether it's because of your understanding, your background, or marketing, whatever it is. It's not helpful to the masses if you can buy the wrong things for your truck. And that's what we're combating daily. Like, whether you believe me or not, and I know a lot of you, like thousands of you, have been through this with us. If you call me telling me you want something, like, I'm probably not going to sell it to you unless I verify that you understand what it is that you're buying. Like, you have to understand what you're buying. You have to understand the consequences of it. And this is where, like, with Super Duty 7.3s, I talk to a lot of people who either just want to tow with their truck and their only goal is towing, or they very few people with 7.3s want to actually make a lot of power. Like, they'll tell me, I have a tow truck and I want to make 500 horsepower. I want to tow with it. I want it to be like the newer trucks because I don't want to buy a newer truck. And the truth is, it's not possible. Like, people can go out there, like especially popular guys, they'll go out there and tell you, oh, well, I make 7 horsepower and I tow with it. Okay, well, most of you would hop in that truck and be like, this is the most miserable experience I've ever had. I don't want it to be miserable. I want to tow with it and I want it to be seamless, which is why we've pushed so hard. And I feel like probably I should explain better, and we'll get to that like over time, I think, of what I mean by like usable horsepower. It's not the same thing as maximum power. And so, like, I feel like it's really disingenuous to be a product sales team, like somebody who just like a retail store, we just retail parts and sell them for profit. Like, I believe in businesses making money. Absolutely. That's why we all have jobs. What I don't believe in is like an uneducated user base using the products incorrectly without understanding what they're for. And I think that in the automotive industry, like, we face a lot of problems. As hard as the EPA is cracking down on automotive performance, like, that's one thing. That's a very big thing. And so I think the ignorance to what's potentially changing in this market is not healthy. And even besides that, it's really unhealthy that companies have built themselves up to where they're just a retail front for products to sell the most amount possible, and then using whatever tactics are needed. Not tactics. I don't think it's malicious. Whatever needs to be said to be able to sell the products. And it's sort of compounding. Like you take a company like, I don't know if I want to use that example. Like, let's say Banks, right? So, like Gale Banks, he's obviously a very intelligent guy. He has tons of equipment, tons of experience. He knows way more than I know. But, and I sort of, I'm going to go to this saying, like, I sort of agree with their approach, is like everything they sell, as far as I'm aware, has a CARB certification and an EO number, an executive order number. So they're 50 state legal. Everything is tested and validated ahead of time. And if you're working from that mindset of, well, I'm taking something that the OEM created and was legal from the factory, I'm modifying it enough that it's more performance, whatever that means. Is it 10, 20 horsepower? Is it 50, 60 pound-feet of torque? It's 100, whatever. Like, does it make any more power than stock? Like, is it more useful for your truck? And then we'll get it certified and we'll sell it. And we can say, like, it is a performance product at a premium. But that isn't what the like performance industry is. The performance industry is like, let's push the envelope, and then it gets even further, and let's push the envelope, and like I'll figure out a way to drive my truck when I'm towing at 500 horsepower with my 7.3 or 1,000 horsepower in my Cummins. Like, yeah, it's not like stock, but it works. And then into like it just keeps going further and further and further to where you've got guys calling you who don't know what their chip does. They don't know if they can stack chips because they zero understanding of how their truck works. And will you write me a smoke tune? It's like, we've become so disconnected Like I think it's kind of better now than it was. I think it is sort of better now. Like I don't see a lot of people asking to try to make smoke, but like that's sort of like that's the contrast. That's people wanting smoke tunes and like OEM performance, totally opposites. Like when you actually understand how these trucks work, and I'm not saying I understand every component of it, but I certainly understand at least the electronic side fairly well, and mechanically fairly well. The OEMs engineer these trucks to have a duty cycle. They have a life cycle. Like they need to be able to work with the least amount of warranty for the most amount of people for the longest amount of time. And when we like simply putting a chip in your truck, like you're not just putting a chip in your truck, like you are completely changing everything about the way that truck was designed to run. And so you can't blame the tuning company when your truck is different than stock. And I'll say this, most tuning companies, meaning like the guys who write tuning for these trucks, do not understand how they work, including us, several years ago. And I can attribute that a lot to Vaughn and me, both having an interest in actually understanding what's happening, which leads to like we refund a ton of orders. Like we'll have a conversation with somebody and refund their order. Happens all the time because it's not the right thing people are looking for. You don't get to just make a bunch more power and have no consequences. There are certainly good things and there are bad things. And so like I don't really know how to articulate it yet, but I really think that like education is very important before you decide to buy parts, not just finding out who liked the part and what it did for them, but there's a fundamental level that is the engineering side of I designed this product to do this thing. And if you decide to use it incorrectly, like not what it was designed to do, then it will fail. And it is no one else's fault because it did the thing I designed it to do. And I don't think you can ask anything else from OEMs from that. Or from OEMs besides that. And I'm not saying this as though, like, again, that I think the performance industry shouldn't exist. Like, I will fight for that. Believe me, I am fighting for that. But I think it's too easy to make the wrong choices. And that's what I'm getting at here. So maybe we'll dig more into that. I think like it's also kind of hard interviewing people. But I think really a couple of them are going to be, a couple of them that I mentioned, like Charlie Fish at Casey Turbos and Jared Alderson of Kill Devil Diesel, Nate at Unlimited Diesel. I want to dig into this with them, and so on our longer shows, the interview shows, we will dig into that, and I think I want to ask kind of their opinions from that perspective, how they feel about what exists in the market now and how it's presented from the manufacturers or the resellers, because I think that those things are very important. But appreciate you guys listening. This was episode 6, I think, of the Daily Diesel Show. We will keep it up. I've been posting a little earlier. We're in Alaska, so me here, I have coffee. You can drink coffee with me. The difference between you and me is I'm drinking coffee at like midnight and on my way to bed in a few hours, and you're probably drinking coffee on your way to work. I've been posting these shows earlier, like around 4 o'clock Eastern, 4 or 5 Eastern, to hopefully give you something to listen to on your way to work, if this is what you're interested in. If you appreciate that, I'll keep doing it. Thanks for listening. If you like this, like I've always said, I do appreciate it. Share this with anybody that it would matter to. Share this podcast or this show. If you think it's worth splitting them off, we'll split them off. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a happy Tuesday.